And I played for Poster Club. I played for the national team, the She Crane, and I administered the game of netball. I'm an umpire, I'm a netball coach, and I was the director of umpires on Africa Confederation of Netball, the former body before we came up with the new one, Netball Africa. And I was the head of the umpires in the East Africa region for quite some time. I'm here in that capacity as a senior netball stakeholder. I've called you, ladies and gentlemen, to tell the nation, to send a message to the nation, what's going on in the game of netball currently. You are all aware that our certificate, National Council of Sports, removed the certificate from Uganda Netball Federation. And World Netball intervened and requested the executive that was in place by then to step aside, and they allowed Normalization Committee to normalize the game of netball. And that is the very reason why I've called you people to tell the nation that the Normalization Committee has been in the office since November 2023, chaired by Mr. Mwase Moses. But to me and the other colleagues in the netball fraternity feels that they have not done what they were requested to do. They were mandated to do. They have not followed it. And we feel that having failed to do as per mandated and exceeding the period they've taken and what is going on right now in netball, we feel that the Normalization Committee has not done its role. And we have petitioned World Netball to that effect, and we have copied the Minister of Education and Sports, Mama Janet Natasha, Mama Janet Nseven. We have copied the Minister of State for Sports at National Council of Sports. And even the Normalization Committee, we've given them a copy of our petition, and we are also going to give you a copy of the petition. We have based our points to petition on the following: that the Normalization Committee has failed to follow the mandate given to them. The Normalization Committee neglected the netball structures that were in place before they came in under UNF. The Normalization Committee neglected the stakeholders. You ask me who are the stakeholders of netball. The stakeholders of netball are the netball clubs that are playing the National League. The Secondary School Sports Association, those are called interested groups. Primary School Association, institutions of higher learning, university, and institutions of higher learning, together with the district netball associations. Those are the stakeholders. But in the operations of the Normalization Committee, they've disregarded the stakeholders. Among the special groups, we have the Umpires Association, we have the Coaches Association, and we have the Ex-Players Association. And now we are coming up with a new one of the Players Association. The Normalization Committee has falsely represented netball because they've ignored all the achievements. We went through a lot, ladies and gentlemen. We went through a lot to bring netball to the level it is on now. Being the 5th in the world and #1 in Africa, it wasn't easy, especially for us who stood there during all those years to see that before the government came in fully to start supporting netball. It wasn't easy. But according to the Normalization Committee, I mentioned Mr. Mwase in particular, keeps on stating it, that he is starting netball in Uganda. As the stakeholders, we are saying no to that statement. Mr. Mwase and his Normalization Committee are not starting netball in this country. Netball has been there, ladies and gentlemen, and it is there to stay. I can leave, but netball is there to stay. He's not starting it. For your own information, netball started in Uganda in way back in 60s, brought here by Christians, and started in Christian-founded schools and churches. And the first to jump on board were the forces. The forces took over, and then netball spread. So it's not starting on the Normalization Committee regime. Without our authority as stakeholders of the game, the Normalization Committee has gone ahead to change the name of the federation. Now they are referring to us as Netball Uganda. Where do they get the mandate to change the name when the stakeholders were not involved in passing the new name they've come up with? They haven't stopped on only changing the name, but they booked it in the government. They went ahead and booked it in the government that nobody can call themselves Netball Uganda now. But we, the stakeholders of Netball, we have not authorized them to change the name of the Netball from Uganda Netball Federation to Netball Uganda. Mr. Mwase and his committee requested for 200,000 from what they call provisional members. Who are the provisional members when already the Uganda Netball Federation had members? It had members officially registered and known by the government. Now he has come up with provisional members for the new body formed known as Netball Uganda, and he requested for 200,000. All these, when we went for a meeting, he called and we paid. You are going to ask me, why did you pay? We paid because we don't want to be locked out. Because you have to fight when you are inside. You have to air your points when you are inside. That's why you see that we've been participating in whatever he has been asking us to do. But at the same time, we've been digging, checking the information. Especially, we took trouble to understand what was the mandate given to him. After realizing that he's operating outside the mandate, that's why we've come out. Because Mr. Mwase, in the mandate he was given as the chairman of the Normalization Committee, we failed to find where he's being told to change the name of this federation. But he was told to normalize Uganda Netball Federation, to work on the statute, which he's working on. But the statute he's working on is for Netball Uganda, not for Uganda Netball Federation. He was mandated to conduct elections, to put up a roadmap and conduct elections. Those elections are not for Netball Uganda, but for Uganda Netball Federation, as per the World Netball Body that mandated him. The World Netball Body knows that Uganda Netball Federation is the body in Uganda managing the game of netball, and it's the registered one with them. But he's telling that we should register Netball Uganda with the world body. Among the mandate he was given, he had to, after working on the statute, organizing the challenge we had of governance, because all this was brought about by the governance and the problem was in the constitution. Because the constitution amended 2022, the stakeholders were not given time to read and understand the constitution and also make their contributions. As per the constitution of 2012, there's an article that was telling that amendment of the constitution, we had to submit our submissions to the Secretary of the Uganda Netball Federation. That was not done. That's why that constitution of 2022 received some challenges, and the cause of the governance issues started with the constitution. It is the same thing now Mr. Mwase is doing. He's bringing a constitution on board without all members' contribution. And that is going to lead again to governance issues because some of us, stakeholders, don't agree with the articles in the constitution. Ladies and gentlemen, that's the reason why I called you here. Through you, I tell the nation, as a senior netball administrator, at times known as Rosette the Netballer, where I come from, in Rubaga constituency, they know me. I'm the only netballer in Rubaga. So that's why I've called you, ladies and gentlemen, and together with my colleagues, the other stakeholders, to deliver this message to the nation that we are requesting World Netball to dissolve the Normalization Committee and bring and allow the stakeholders and the government, National Council of Sports and the ministry, and with the stakeholders to form a committee to manage netball in the country, to do what was mandated to the Normalization Committee to do. Because Mr. Mwase, as a person, the chairperson of the committee, has no interest in the game of netball at all. We want people who are interested in the game, that have worked for it up to where it is, to normalize it and bring it back to order, other than someone whose interest is in swimming to come and manage netball. And the most important thing, he doesn't understand the game, which shows you that he doesn't understand the game of netball. He requested all the clubs in the first division to submit 4 names for the national team. That's not the way we select a national team. We must have a technical committee and a coach to sit and select a national team. Club managers can make contributions, submissions of good players, but the selection of that team is not done by each manager because I have my interest. I can bring only shooters because they are the best I have in my club. Now, who is going to defend? Who is going to be in the defense? That is technical. And the second issue, there are clubs that don't have players that can be on the national team. They were also requested to submit names. The best players won't have training competition to prepare for the event. And secondly, the first international event is the first 5. Not all teams in Uganda play the game of the first 5. We have about 5-6 teams that play the game of first 5. We've been advising him. We advised that committee that before you submit the names of the Ship Cranes first 5, let us have a competition. Let us bring the 5 teams or 6 to compete, and then we'll be in a position to select the best players to go in the first 5. Up to now, he has not responded to that. All he said is that there is no money. Normalization committee has no money to meet such. So, ladies and gentlemen, members of the press, help me, help Netball to deliver that message. Work with us because you've loved the game so much to see that this message goes across the country, because we have stakeholders all over the country so that they understand what's going on. They don't come just to support the assembly he has called on 21st to pass the constitution, which is consultative. He's calling us on 21st to pass a consultative constitution. We want a final document, a final constitution that we have all contributed on. This consultative, yes, it is for consultation, but the time he's giving us to go and pass it is too short for members from up country to have made their contributions. So we are requesting for 2 things. World Netball to dissolve the Normalization Committee, and the government of Uganda, Ministry of Education and Sports, all local bodies to step in and stop this assembly he's calling on 21st, because we are not going to pass a constitution which is still consultative. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm sorry for that.
I'm Mugero Fred Tabale, the current national coach, a netball coach, an instructor, and an administrator, and a person who loves netball. I think among all that are seated here with me, I think I'm the oldest administrator in netball that is currently here, because I joined netball way back 1982 as one of the administrators in Uganda by that time in Uganda Netball Association. I've seen names change, leaders come, leaders go. But what I want to tell you people, that we are not here as a clique. I'm not siding with any other person. What has brought me here is to see that netball goes forward. Because the more people delay in normalizing what is supposed to be done, it is the players that are going to suffer. Right now, some clubs are not paying their players because they are not performing. They are asking, why should we pay you people when you are not performing? And as Rosette Kara said, when these people came in office, when the people were given that mandate, they were supposed to have left the planning and organizing committee, all the committees that were in charge with other running of the netball, to continue so that the league can continue as we play, as they start normalizing. This is what was supposed to be done. But it was not supposed to have been that you stop everything and we start afresh. We are not starting afresh. What we want is to see netball moving forward so that these ladies of ours can move forward. And now, the moment we start the way we are doing things, by the time we go for another competition, I think we are going to lose terribly, and which is going to affect our rankings. Okay? And we thought that because we had got that number 6, we are supposed to have maintained that position by having players train, compete, so that by the time we have another competition, we are ready for that competition. But what is going to happen right now is we are almost going to start afresh. But again, when the results come and the result is not good, they are going to look at the technical part. Not forgetting that, forgetting that they are the people who have made this happen. We only want those people who are who are fronting elections, first of all, to leave, forget about the elections, or to forget about the offices that they are vying for. They should first of all come together as netballers. We first of all rectify these mistakes that probably were in the constitution. We come up with a proper constitution that is good for all of us. Then after that, then we can part ways and start campaigning. Whoever comes in, let that person come in. But we are forgetting that netball is what brings us together, not that election that people are looking at. How do we start looking for, you look for votes when the constitution that you want to use is not right? The powers, first of all, when you look at the constitution, there are some powers that were given to particular people. There is no way you are telling me that we have a secretariat and then you say we are going to have honorary secretaries, and you give those honorary secretaries and treasurers more powers than even the president of the federation. I think that one can't work. And there's bound to be a conflict of interest between the CEO and the secretary. When you look at that, it's almost duplicating the duties of these people that are supposed to do. So my humble request is all netball lovers in Uganda here, please, should come forward and we work on this constitution so that we put our netball first. Let's forget about the positions. Okay? We have not forgotten about the people. Rosette was talking about the provisional membership. We have delegates who are elected from various districts in the country that form the General Assembly. Those people have been left out. Now, when they registered the clubs, the constitution was very clear that the clubs that are supposed to come for the AGMs are supposed to be clubs that are playing in the Super Division. But now, what I don't know whether those are the clubs that are supposed to come. They are what I hear that some other people went on registering clubs, even those ones that have been playing in Bubondo. Some of them have already paid as the provision members. And those are the people that we are going to see on the 21st coming in to pass the constitution, which I think is bad. And if some of you can recall, in 2011 there was a normalization committee, interim committee that was put in place. They worked on the constitution. When the other people were elected, they still have to do away with that constitution because they didn't agree with it. And this is bound again to happen. If Mr. Mwase makes people to take, this constitution, put the constitution in force, then the people who are going to come in office, what I know is they are going still to sit it down and still amend that same constitution. We shall be going back to square one. Because everybody thinks of his own side. What I would request is, because it's not yet too late, what the Normalization Committee should do is to summon all the stakeholders, the coaches, the umpires, the administrators, those who have been on board. We have members, excuse me, we have former presidents who have ever led this netball in the country. They are still there. Those who are still alive, they are there. They should call them, sit together, and then get ideas from them before coming up with a document that is going to enforce us on it. I think that should be the only way if we want to take netball forward. Okay. Not forgetting our players. We had started very well with having players go professional. Now, the league is not there. Now, how are we going to get those players to play those professionals? Nothing. Okay. So my request is, let the Normalization Committee summon all the stakeholders before the 21st, sit down, and we talk about this constitution, because when I read through this constitution, we are also given the structures for that constitution, the framework for the constitution. We had our input, but after reading this constitution, that the draft that he has brought, none of what we suggested was put in that constitution. So it seems that he's just enforcing this constitution on the Ugandans, or netballers. They should come up, get the ideas from each and every person, the delegates, and other people, so that we come up with a constitution that is good for each and everybody in the nation. I think with that, I will thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for your time. I wish that they hear, and also the minister concerned should also come in and assist. Because if the Normalization Committee is not doing the right thing, then it is now high time for him to see what best for the netball in the country. Thank you very much.
One. Tusuubira nti ffe bannanyini constitution eno twali badde tuteekamu ekisinga obunene. Naye bw'otunuulira kati ebiriwo kirabika mwase in particular gwenja okwogerako, because bw'otunuulira akakiiko k'abantu abana ye senior person abadde mu mizannyo ng'akulembera. So ne tukiraba nti kyandibadde kirungi ekyokulabirako. Ffe twalowooza nti ebintu byakoze atuteekako biteeke. Ekyokulabirako twalina ekyayitibwa Constitutional Review Conference. Batuyita tuleete ebirowoozo byaffe. Naye mu kiseera ekyo teyatuwa constitution eri mu draft. Yatuwa skeleton, yateekamu subheadings. Bayogera ku kino akoma ku ekyo. Takirambulula. So agenza otuwa constitution eno gisoma gitegeera. Ebintu ebikulu bye njagala munootinga ebyo bino. Ekisooka yatugamba nti omuntu okwesimbawo ku kifo kya president oba vice oba gwe yayita honorary secretary olina okubanga olina higher diploma. Higher diploma ey'okusoma kwa Uganda. Bw'ojjako ekyo olina okubanga olina higher diploma mu byemizannyo, sport science. Ekyo tukiwakanya. Bwe twakiwakanya ku luli era kikomezzaawo wano. Nga tugamba tuwayo ebyokulabirako. Case study, FUFA n'abalala bonna. The constitution ya Uganda, Museveni president atufuga. Tuwaliyo bagambira nti okwesimbawo kwa president wa Uganda olina okubanga olina higher diploma oba sport science tebiri bagamba bugambi. You must have a senior minimum of senior 6 and ebyenkanakana n'ekyo. Netumugambe kulwakyo kireeta mu bino mizannyo gya Uganda kirimu. Ekyo kikoze eki ekyo nakikomyawo lwampaka. Ekyokubiri netugamba nti bwoba ne secretariat kubanga bino byonna constitution gwe yagireeta talina kyataddemu kipya. Yajjanga ebintu yakolanga benchmarking, najja mu FUFA, n'agenda mu swimming, n'agenda mu handball, basketball. So ekikuwanduko kyaleese ekipya kino sigamba nti kibadde ye Australia awo nti alese amagezi ge. Era bw'okitunuulira wano mulimu n'ebya swimming byaleese muno ng'amaliriza mu kiwanduko kye nabite nga byerabidde bikola ki. So tetugamba nedda bw'oba ne secretariat ng'erina CEO n'abakozi abakola ki. Lwaki oleetamu abantu bano ababiri alina obawo obuyinza obukola ki obw'amaanyi ennyo. Ekyokulabirako tuweza era alina amaanyi mangi nnyo okusenga n'accountant ne CEO. Netukiwakanya ekyo. Netuwakanya ekyokubeera ne CEO ng'ate tulina n'omuwandiisi gwayise honorary. Tugambye tekikola ki. Netuweza nti agenda bikola ki n'agenda bijjawo. Ekyokuuna ne tugamba otuwadde amateeka. Ekisooka mu byonna omuzannyo gwa netball teguli part of Olympic sport. Kubanga yatunulya qualification ng'alinga ng'agamba nti waliwo amaaso ekyokulabirako. Bwe tuba tuli ba candidate bana wano nze nina diploma mu sport science ono ng'alina oba mu kina ki n'ogamba olina okuba ne sport science whatever kitegeeza nti olina gw'otunuulira akirina gweyagala okukola ki. Tugamba ekyo kikyamu kyandibadde ba MP ajja bama ne senior 4 n'asomayo ka course bangi nnyo mubalabi. There is no way obagambira nti alina okuba galina political science whatever. So lwaki obiteekamu ebyo n'abigaaniramu n'abizzaamu lwampaka. Tugamba Olympic Committee we are not part of. So etteeka lyoleeta nti omuntu yasoma buno bu certificate bwa Uganda Olympic Committee National Council tebukola ki tebumanyi so akutetukabala ekirukijjamu tugamba ekyokubiri nti gatukompera ku assembly constitution ya Uganda nti ebintu bino constitution ya Uganda ne Netball yali badde kwatagana ne tufuga nti bogamba nti president alina okubanga alina minimum of this lwaki obuzannyo kasi sector akatono ennyo bwe kati okateeka qualification ezaawo waggulu ennyo ekiro tukiva kugamba otaddewo term limit netubuuza World Netball ina term limit president wa Netball abaddeko wa World Netball amazeeko emyaka mmeka lwaki fotekako gundi naga kiri standard netumuwa ekyokola case study fufa president Magogo agala musanga kyakumeka nibo ogamba nti kiri bakiyisa kitegeza kitu nokuba nga tukola ki fena nga tugobera so ebyo netubiwakanya naye twewuunya okulaba nga bikoze eki nga bikomyewo okutuimpozeka constitution ekisugo tuluma kubanga fe user nze ni mukozi wa bisaawe ng'ogyeko gino emirimu gya sports naye bw'oba okola ekisaawe ekyokulabirako mutegeragana nnyo kisaawe nti oyagala kisaawe nga kyenkana kitya kibaako kinaki nga bye mwagala bikwatagana era bwe bampa certificates eziraga nti kino nkimaze alina ogamba twategeragana ku bintu bwe biti n'obwe biti akati twebuuza mwasa atalina interest lwaki ffe bannannyini kitugamba nti twali bali twagala kino na kino takikola ki tayagala kibeere mu gundi eno so ebyo byonna tubiwakanya ekisemberayo ddala twali si mu assembly gyayita naye olw'olukiiko lwasooka consultative assembly yasookera ddala ne tugamba tukopinga ebintu ebirungi ebikolebwa federation oba associations endala bwe tuba nga tulina obuzibu kaakati gemu egende mu maaso abantu bagibeereko nga bafuna ssente bino byaffe governance tujja bimaliriza ne tugamba fufa nayo yalina obuzibu bwe buti emyaka gye abaliwo emabega yateekawo normalization committee ne bassaawo ne super division clubs association nga zeerwaningirwa omuzannyo guno lwaki tuforminga within us tugamba managers muleete amannya ag'abantu bemusuubira ti gayinza okukola ki okulwanirwa omuzannyo guno n'akigana agamba aleeta kampany tetugamba tusobola kuleeta kampany yaani kampany erikubaani so insistinga nti kampany erina okubanga erwaninga ki fe tugamba terina kuba kampany so mu bufunze ebyo ebimu ku ebyo tulowooza tibikola ki bituluma ng'abateekamu ssente ne betwagaliza omuzannyo guno okutambula obulungi.
Currently, managing a club called Dynamite. Before I was managing KCCA Netball Club. Before that, I was a player. Before that, I was a player through high school, universities. Yeah, now I'm up in administration. So my disappointment when it comes to the normalization committee, we are so heartbroken because we had so much hopes for the committee coming in. Everyone, like we saw them as saviors coming to the table before because of the conflicts that were happening. But then the normalization committee comes to power and everything is driven in the opposite direction. Let's look at the perspective of a player. You've been depending on netball. Usually when you're playing for a specific club, you have a contract where you're paid monthly. But this only happens when you're exchanging your services, like playing netball, for money. Sort of unemployment. It's employment. But when there are no things like the league for you to play, so why would someone be paying you? Players have lost livelihood. We don't have what to eat. They don't have any attachment to the game anymore. Why? They've lost interest. Even if you're an administrator in a club, if someone is not delivering what they should be bringing to the table, you can't keep paying them. It's almost actually over 2 years. Players are not paid. They're stepping away from the game. How are we going to bring them back to develop netball if in the first place we ignored all of them? Because the normalization committee is not concentrating on our players. All of them, most of them have gone. Others are diverting to different activities. We can't maintain our position if we don't have the league. The league is what keeps us together. It keeps our players active. They get paid playing these games. Every time we talk about the league, they keep telling us we shall commit to a date. Now, I remember we had an interview where Mr. Mwase assured us that the league will be played in the next 2 months. That was around April. Up to now, nothing is happening. When you press so hard and request for a commitment, commit to a date, at least a month. Because on the perspective of a player, when you're not working, why would you be training? This is a girl child. If she's not kept on court to train, then no one is going to pay. You know the unemployment rates in Uganda. Netball is considered a job when it comes to players. But these players have been ignored for the last 2 years. They are not getting paid. Not every club can pay you for 2 years when you're not playing for them. Why would they be paying you if you're not bringing what you're supposed to be bringing to the table? So we are so heartbroken, we are so disappointed with the Normalization Committee, because we saw them as a ray of hope in the beginning. But up to now, there is nothing actionable that is going on that is going to benefit the players. Players are the stakeholder. Why? Because without those players, these positions that people are fighting for, they are not there. These players need to be protected. These players need to, how can I say? Like, we need netball for the players to be active, for the country to go forward when it comes to our talent. We can't maintain all those positions if these players are not available. We can't be going to the grassroots every time we have issues to start raising someone to bring them to the level of national team. Mr. Mwase summoning the national team, he's supposed to normalize. It's like someone saying the math is not mathing. It is about him coming to normalize, get our own leadership. Then he steps aside as we move our game forward. But now we are stranded. He's too busy to handle things that are concerning this side because he has other responsibilities. This is a game we've put in so much and we want to see results. We're not here to fight people. We just need something actionable for our game moving forward.